password is lowercase cmi.
That's what it is. Okay, thanks for the reminder. There we go. I'm good
Anyway,
now.
I'm going to do it here, Richard. I'm going to do it here. I'm going to see if it works here. If you go ahead and I'm going to hit OK here for you. Documents are being copied to the remote system. So what you'll see is when you go onto your computer, you'll find them in this folder here, Ready Tech, and you'll find them in the inbox. I'm sorry, yeah, the inbox. You'll find them in the inbox, and then you can copy that to your class files folder.
All right, so it'll be in the Ready Tech folder.
Who's speaking now?
This is Patrick.
No. This was for Richard.
Oh, got it.
But
Sorry.
yeah, no, this is for Richard. That he didn't have the limits or the grid set up, so but if anybody else wants it, yeah, you can do the same thing. I think you can go to the library and select the 3 dots and select your computer. All right.
All right, stand by a second. I'm trying to get this, please.
Okay.
Or you can go without me. I can.
No, that's all right. I'm listening. Go ahead.
Sorry about this, class. I have my 2 monitors today. Yesterday, I only had 1, and I was having.
Well, that's great. I'm very happy to hear that.
So, I'm on my desktop. Let's see. Close this drawing. And it was Ready Tech.
Yep. In the inbox.
Inbox.
There it is. So you just copy that.
Copy.
Well, you've opened it now. And you've opened up another session. You don't need to double click it.
Okay.
You just copy it.
So copy.
Yep. And then see the class files folder on the lower left-hand corner of the list there? Yeah, open that up and just paste it in there.
1 click to the left.
Yes, open that up and then paste it in there.
Okay.
And now you have it. So go ahead and close this Windows Explorer. And is this your original drawing here? Oh, you opened it. Yeah, this is right. You had opened this. Go ahead and close this second session of AutoCAD. You don't want to have 2 sessions open. Just go ahead and close this AutoCAD.
Right here.
Yep. And then, oh, okay. I didn't see that. I thought you already had AutoCAD open. But go down to the, yes, go down to the taskbar at the very bottom of the screen. You see the red A on the bottom of the screen? Yeah. Click on that. All right. Apparently, you had, I thought you had 2 sessions open. Okay, now you see the very first residential. Yeah, that's the one that you just downloaded. Somehow or another, the other one, I don't even know where that is. But go ahead and click on that one.
Alan, can you
All
hear
right,
me?
now you're set up. You're ready to go.
Alan,
Okay,
can
I
you?
have my layers.
Yeah, but
They're
this
all
is
there.
my drawing now. You should have everything in here.
Okay.
Alan.
Now, just to make it a little bit easier on you, take the 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 bar in the middle of the screen, the command line, and move it to the bottom of the screen. And you can do that by grabbing a hold of the bar from the very left of the bar. Yeah, that's it right there. That little thing right there. Drag it to the bottom and just, yeah, that's perfect. Just let go of it right there. So it's out of the way so it doesn't, it's not covering up anything.
Alan, can you hear me?
All right, good. I think you're ready
Oh,
to go.
fuck. Alan?
I have a question now before you get started. Can you do a
Yeah.
check? Can you see my screen? Is this
All right,
how it's
I'll move
supposed
to
to
your
look?
screen. All right, whose screen am I looking for?
Mine, Patrick?
Okay, yeah, Patrick, I can see what you're going to ask me about. You see that that's a drawing recovery manager. Sometimes I don't know how
Oh,
this happens, but
crap.
that's another palette. And yeah, there's a little X if you hover over the top of the recovery manager. Yeah, see the little X, you can dismiss it from there. Okay. Now, do you have your residential drawing?
I don't know.
Okay, click open, the little thing there that says open. No, click, yeah, open files. All right, there's somebody else that has their mic open.
Yeah.
All right,
Alan?
there it is. Click on residential. I want to see
Crap.
if yours is set up. You see what it's residential, residential, yeah, there it is right there, residential. There you go. It's the drawing file. Go ahead and hit open. All right, yours looks good. All right, good. I want to just check one thing. Go to your home tab and hit the drop down where all the layers are, where you see layers in the middle. But no, at the top there, the list.
Alan, can you hear me?
That's it. That's it. Perfect. Yep, you got everything. You're set up. All right, anybody else?
Alan, can you hear me?
Who's this?
This is James Zeke.
Okay, what's up?
So all I've got is the Arcance screen. I've got your...
Okay, everybody. Now listen, this is just like any other computer. When you log in, think of it as it's a virtual computer. What it's waiting for is waiting for you to put in a password. All you need to do is just click to activate. You know, I don't know if you have like Windows or anything other than what we have in the training thing. All you have to do is just click once on the screen and they thing for there you go. And then you're going to type in CMI. It's like any other machine. It's just a virtual machine. That's how you get into it. All right. Now, anybody else? Here, I'm looking at Nathaniel. Nathaniel, this thing right here, same as James or whoever, Patrick. You can close the drawing recovery. Go ahead and just hit close there. I think, like I was saying before from yesterday, when you leave the class, make sure you close AutoCAD. Or maybe I told this I'm sorry, I might have told this to the class last week. The ReadyTech environment, for whatever reason, you can't leave the computer on. It shuts it down, and therefore, if you leave it on with your file, then it sort of thinks that your file crashed. So here, I'll fix this for you. All right, and I'm not sure what is going on with this with the resolution here. make that a little bit easier on you, Daniel. Um, I'm not quite sure why you have such a small resolution.
I had that same problem yesterday, and it was because I had a single screen.
It might be that Daniel has a single screen. All right, I don't know. All right, looks like everybody else is set. All right, I'm ready to get started here. Um, all right, every time I open this up, I have to come in here and say show cover page separately. All right. All right, as I mentioned from yesterday, we were practicing drawing using the three most basic elements of geometry, the commands that draw those three most basic elements, lines, circles, and arcs. And we were drawing them all over the screen, just practicing, and we weren't concerned about any sort of precision. We didn't have any sort of dimensions that we had to create these elements. We were just seeing how the commands work. Well, now we're going to take a look at how we go about drawing things with precision. There are three topics on this, or there are three lessons, three exercises, three whatever on this topic of drawing with precision. And this is the first one, drawing with precision using the coordinate system.
You're on page
And we'll
18.
have drawing with precision using existing objects. And then we'll have drawing with precision using something called a drafting aid called polar tracking. All right, so we're going to start here. And what I'm going to do for you guys, all you have to do is kind of watch. I'm going to give a demonstration showing the uses of these four different ways in which to use the coordinate system within AutoCAD. Now, when we talk about the Cartesian coordinate system, we're talking about this topic here, Cartesian coordinate system, where you have in the two-dimensional space, you have an X and Y axis. And where those X and Y axes intersect is what we refer to as the origin. And when we look at our coordinate system, when we move a unit to the right, we're moving in the positive X direction. And when we move a unit up, we're moving in the positive Y direction. And so what they're denoting here is we have a coordinate of 2 units in the X direction, 3 units in the Y direction. So that's similar to what we did yesterday, where we moved 50 units in the X direction and 50 units in the Y direction. And that's how we get these exact coordinates. trying to get out of this. Oh, well, here, I'll just put this out here. We're not working in the three-dimensional space, so we're not creating any three-dimensional objects. So we're not going to be dealing with the z coordinate. So the z coordinate would be the third dimension. All right, and this is all established in 1637 by Rene Descartes, I guess is how you say it. All right. So now that you know about the Cartesian coordinate system, I'm going to do a little demonstration that will walk us through how this coordinate system can be utilized to draw with precision in AutoCAD. Now, before I begin this, I just want everybody to understand something. Some of these methods that I'm showing you are purely to give you a foundational knowledge of the Cartesian coordinate system in AutoCAD. Most of the time, you will not be actually using these methods. But what this does is helps you understand the foundational basis of what these drawings are based on. So as I go through this demonstration, don't think that you have to memorize or remember everything that I'm showing you. Just it's a demonstration. What you really have to focus on, and I'll point it out, is here at the very last entry, the very last topic, where this is something that you're going to be using quite often. So I'm going to go through the other three here that aren't used as often, but it'll give you a foundational knowledge. I thought I had AutoCAD open, but apparently I did not. All right, so I had the same issue, the drawing recovery manager. I don't quite know why that is. All right, I have a file here that I like to use to demonstrate this. And similar to what I was showing everybody yesterday by changing the colors, I know it's going to be very difficult to see the grid. I want you to be able to see the grid when I do this demonstration. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to change the color of the background just for this exercise, just for this demonstration. And I'm going to change the background to white. And so that should make the grid a little bit easier to see. Now, before I begin, just so you understand what's going on here, I started this drawing. I created this sample demonstration drawing using the basic or the out-of-the-box template. And therefore, you're seeing that sort of default drawing limits that are typical of the out-of-the-box content. We have a drawing limit set to 12 units in the X and 9 units in the Y. So that is this coordinate right here in my grid. 12 units in the X, 9 units in the Y. What I am going to do here is I'm going to draw a shape, a very simple shape. And the shape that I'm going to draw is going to be a rectangle. then this rectangle is going to have the exact dimensions of 3 units here and 5 units here. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units in length, I guess you could call it, and 1, 2, 3 units in height. So I'm going to draw this shape using the 4 different methods in the workbook. All right. So the first method is the absolute Cartesian coordinate system. What this means is, when I start the line command to draw the lines of that rectangular shape, the command is going to ask me to specify the start and end point of my line. Unlike what we did yesterday, where we just randomly pick points off the screen, I am going to define exact, or in the case of the wording here, absolute coordinates of where the lines begin and start. So with that in mind, I'm going to start the line command, and you'll see that the prompt is saying, just as I said, specify the first point. The first point I want to start at is this coordinate right here. This coordinate is 1 in the X direction and 1 in the Y direction. So when the prompt is asking me for a first point, to specify a first point, I'm not going to click my mouse. What I'm going to do is I'm going to enter in that absolute coordinate. And that coordinate is 1, comma, and you can see as soon as I enter in the comma, oh, I thought it was going to do it. You can see how it's entering in that information at my heads up display. So 1, comma, 1, there we go, maybe I can do it now. 1, comma, 1, and as soon as I hit enter, let me do something here. My line starts from that absolute coordinate. You can see my rubber band, and the end of my preview line, my rubber band, is tacked down to or nailed down to that coordinate. So that's the start of my line. Now it's asking me to specify the next point. The next point I want to draw is to this coordinate. This coordinate here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the X and 1 in the Y. So for that coordinate, I'm going to enter it in exactly. Now, you'll see it, my dynamic input displays, it's wanting to allow me to type in the length of my line, and we'll get to that later. The length of my line and define the angle. But I'm just going to start to enter in a coordinate. This is going to be 6 in the X, comma, and then it changes back to that format, 1 in the Y. It changes back to that, the boxes where I can enter in the absolute coordinates. When I hit enter now, it's going to end the line at this coordinate right here. So I'm going to hit enter right now. All right, now, I just remembered that my dynamic input is set to relative. That's my fault. I forgot that these machines are set up this way. So what happened here is it did not allow me to use absolute coordinates. It automatically deferred to something called relative coordinates, which I'm going to get to next. But here I forgot that the setting is set to absolute coordinates. Let me change that to absolute coordinates, and then we'll be able to do that again. All right, so I'm going to hit undo. So I don't have to start all over again. I'm just going to hit undo. All right, so now I have my dynamic input set up to absolute coordinates instead of relative coordinates. And I'll explain what happened there in just a second. Anyway, I'm going to do the same exact thing that I just did, but it's going to do it correctly this time. 6 in the x, comma, 1 in the y. All right, I do believe I'm going to have to start this process over again. Something didn't stick. It stayed on relative coordinates. All right, absolute coordinates, stay there, absolute. I think when I hit undo, it undid that. That's what happened. When I hit undo, it undid this setting. So let me set it, and I'll start the whole thing over again. All right, now we're set to absolute coordinates. So a little bit of review. I'm going to start the line command. It wants to know where I want to start. I'm going to start at the absolute coordinate of 1, comma 1. Now I need to get to this coordinate. As we all know, after 3 times, this coordinate right here is 6, comma 1. So I'm going to type it in 6, comma 1. There we go, finally. Now, this point right here, this is 6 in the x and 4 units in the y. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to type that in, 6, comma 4. All right, now this coordinate here, this is 1 in the x and 4 in the y. So I'm going to enter that in, 1, comma 4. All right, and now to get down to here, this is the absolute coordinate of 1, comma 1. So I'm going to type in 1, comma 1. And now I have created that rectangular shape at those precise dimensions using the absolute coordinates of the starts and ends of each of the lines. The format for that, the syntax is the XY coordinate. So to get to this point here, this coordinate here was 6 in the X, comma, 1 in the Y. To get to this point here, with the absolute coordinates, this was 6 in the X, comma, 4 in the Y. To get to this point here, this was 1 in the X, 4 in the Y. And then finally, to get back down to here, this is the start and the end of our thing, and the absolute coordinates for that were 1 in the X, comma, 1 in the X. All right? All right. I'm going to delete what I just did here. And there's a question. Very good question. Patrick asks, is there a reason I start at 1, comma 1 rather than 0, comma 0? Yes, there is, for clarity. The reason I'm doing this starting at 1 is that if I, as you're going to see in just a bit, if I started at 0, comma 0, which is right here, then some of the syntax that I'm going to outline here would all be the same and might be confusing. If I start from a point in this demonstration other than the origin, 0, comma 0, it gives you a better understanding of the absolute coordinate system in relation to the other methods. So, for instance, now I'm going to look at something called the relative Cartesian coordinate system. The issue that I was having at the very beginning that you saw, I was trying to get that line to end at that absolute coordinate of 6 in the X, 1 in the Y, was because my dynamic input in these virtual machines by default is set to where the next point that you define my coordinates is relative to the last point. And I did not want that to happen. I was trying to show absolute coordinates. Here, I'm going to actually demonstrate the process that was just, I messed up the last time, but now I'm going to use this method, the relative Cartesian coordinate system. So basically, when you are adding in the next point, it's taking into account the last point given. All right, so you'll see what this means. The format for this is to define the coordinates with an at sign. So the at sign is a way that I can tell AutoCAD that I want to be use relative coordinates. Just once again, not to pound it into the ground here, but the dynamic input settings that I changed would have allowed me, and it did the last time, to default to relative coordinates. I am now going to force AutoCAD to use relative coordinates now that I have my settings set to absolute coordinates. All right, with that in mind, I'm going to start the line command again, and I'm going to use a different color. And each time that I start this exercise, I'm going to draw the same exact thing, the same exact dimensions, but now using a different coordinate method. And as I do for each time, I'm going to start the same exact absolute coordinate of 1, 1. All right, so here I go again. Here's my line starting. Now, to get to this point here, instead of entering the absolute coordinate, relative to the spot I'm at right now, I have to get over to here. So basically, think of this last spot as sort of your de facto origin, or 0, 0. So if that's the case, to get to this coordinate, it is 5 in the x, 0 in the y. I'm not going up or down in this direction. I'm going perfectly horizontal. So it's 6 units in the x direction, the positive x direction, and no units in the y direction. So the syntax for that is to put an at sign. So I'm going to type in at, and you can kind of see that. Well, I can't show it to you just yet. So at 6 in the x, comma, 0 in the y. So you can see that here. This is the at sign that was added. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It's supposed to be 5 units. 5 units in the x and 0 in the y. So let me see if I can hit undo. All right, I'll start again. My fault. Here we go.
Thanks for fixing that. I was going to ask the
Yeah,
same
I know, I made a mistake. At 5 units, comma, 0. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. That, yeah, I got distracted by this 6 that was over here. Anyway, 5 units in the x, 0 in the y, and if I hit enter, there you go. Once I get started, once I get rolling, then I pretty much get it. Anyway, so to get to this point here, relative to this point, we're not moving in any direction in the x direction, so that's going to be 0. And I'm going to go 3 units in the y direction. So using the absolute coordinate system, it's at 0 in the x, comma, 3 in the y. All right, now that gets me to that coordinate. Now, I got to go in this direction. Now, notice I said earlier, the positive direction. Now, I am going in the negative direction from the coordinate I'm at right now. So basically, I'm going to put in here at -5. -5 in the x, and I'm not moving anywhere in the y direction, so that's going to be a 0. So when I go to the left, that's a negative coordinate. If you remember from here, I didn't show it. I should have made mention of it. But here you can see moving in the direction away to the left from the origin gives us negative coordinates. And this quadrant down here is completely negative, meaning you move in the negative x direction and you move in the negative y direction. So everything in this coordinate quadrant, I should say, this quadrant here is negative. Everything in this quadrant is positive. Over here, only x, in this quadrant, only x coordinates are negative, y is positive, and over here, the exact opposite. Over in this quadrant, the coordinates for x are positive, but the coordinates for y are negative. All right, so with that in mind, that's why I put in here -5, and I'll hit enter. And now to get down here, this is going to be negative in the x direction, and 0 in the, I'm sorry, 0 in the x direction, -3 in the y direction. So here we go again, at 0 in the x direction, comma, -3 in the y. And there I've drawn that same shape. So once again, as a review, the syntax is using the at sign. To get to this point from 1, 1, I had to go 5 units in the x, 0 in the y. To get to this point, I had to go 0 in the x and 3 in the y. And this is basically the answer to the question about starting at 1, 1, because it would have made, I would have been repeating these coordinates if it was absolute starting from 1. But this gives us a little bit of a distinction between the two. Now, this one was -5 in the x and 0 in the y. And then finally, to get to this spot here, this was 0 in the x and -3 in the y. And so you can see in each one of these relative coordinates syntax, the actual dimensions of the sides of the rectangle. 5, 3, and 5, but negative, and 3, but negative. All right. Now, we're going to take a look at something called relative polar. And relative polar is sort of also a default thing that you might be seeing at the dynamic input. But I'm going to actually use the syntax. Here's what I mean. If you draw a line, you're actually seeing a representation of polar format here. You're seeing how the dynamic input is asking for a length, and then it's going to ask us for a dimension. What direction or angle do you want to draw this line? Okay, so it's asking for a length of the line, and it's asking for this. But I'm not going to use this heads up display here. I'm going to use the syntax of relative polar coordinates, which anytime you see relative, we're referring to the at sign. So I'm going to put in here at a particular distance, and then I'm going to define the angle I want to draw the line in. All right, so same as before, I'm going to use a different color. And I'm going to start the line command at the absolute coordinate of 1, 1. All right, now as I mentioned here, you can see it's my dynamic input, but I'm still going to use the old syntax to get to this. At, and there's the at sign, 5 units. See this? At 5 units, and here I'm going to put in the angle symbol here at an angle of 0 degrees. This exactly to the east. If you remember from when we set up our drawing, we had the angle direction and the angle start. So it was 0, 90, 180, 270. So that's the lengths that we're talking about here. All right, so this is going to be at 0 degrees. Now I need to get to here. So this is in the 90-degree direction. And the length of it is going to be 3 units. So at 3 at an angle of 90. All right, now over to here, we're going to go at 5 units in length at an angle of 180 degrees. And then finally, to get down to here, we're going to go at 3 units at an angle of 270 degrees. And there you see I've created the same shape, but using those relative polar coordinates. So relative to the spot I was, polar meaning the angle. So I define the length, and then I tell it what direction I want the line to go in. So putting this in here and then into the syntax, this was 5 units at an angle of 0 degrees. This was, to get to this point from there, it was 3 units at an angle of 90 degrees. Here, to get to this point, the same length as the other one, 5 units, but at an angle of 180 degrees. And finally, 3 units at an angle of 270
Alan?
degrees.
Alan?
All right, so that is what we refer to as relative polar coordinates.
Alan?
Now, I may mention before I started this whole thing that the methods that I'm showing you right now are not often used, okay? They are used at various times, but they're not often used. But this next one that I'm going to show you here is basically one of the major ways in which you're going to be able to draw elements, particularly lines, when creating a drawing with precision. And this is called direct distance entry.
Alan?
In order to use this particular method, we have to use one of our drafting aids, one of our drafting settings. And the one that I'm going to be showing you first is the ortho drafting setting. So before I do this method, let me show you what ortho does. Ortho is this drafting aid that you see right here in the status bar. Now, when I draw lines without that drafting aid, I have referred to the preview that you see here as a stretchy rubber band, the preview of the line. And you'll note that wherever the end of where my cursor is the end of the preview line. Okay? And so when I pick points and draw lines, they are at all sorts of angles. But sometimes when I want to draw, I want to make sure that the lines that I draw are perfectly horizontal or perfectly vertical. That's where I can turn on this drafting aid, ortho. It forces me to draw lines in orthogonal angles of 0 and 90 degrees, horizontal and vertical. If I turn it on, notice now that my rubber band is in a kind of detached from the end of my line. That's because the preview line, the rubber band, is being restricted to these horizontal and vertical directions. So even though my cursor is up here, the rubber band is down here. And if I click up here with my left mouse click, I've drawn a line that is exactly to that where my cursor was, but exactly horizontal. Here's one that's exactly vertical. And so here's the point is now I am forced to draw lines at perfect horizontal and vertical lines. Now, this is something that students get a little confused with because their cursor seems to be not attached, and it's not. It's not attached to the end line, but wherever your cursor is the in either the vertical or horizontal direction is where the line is going to extend to. So sometimes students get confused. They don't understand that their cursor can be down here, and yet the line they draw was up here. All right, so using that drafting aid, I can really utilize this next method of drawing with precision, direct distance entry. Here's how it works. I'm going to start the line command. I have my ortho turned on. And just like all the other exercises, I'm going to start from 1, 1. Now you'll see how my cursor and my rubber band are showing that I am, depending on where my cursor is, my preview, my rubber band can only be horizontal or vertical. So the direct distance entry, basically what they mean by direct distance is I'm just going to point, I'm going to move my cursor in the direction I want to draw the line. And I simply enter in the length that I want the line to be. And that is, in this case, 5 units. You can see 5 right here at my little text box here. Here, you can see the angle, but I don't have to enter any of that in because I'm using the ortho to do it for me. All I need to do is just hit enter. Now I point my cursor up. You can see the angle there, 90 degrees. I just enter in my distance, 3, and hit enter. Now I just point my cursor in the direction 180 degrees, and I type in the distance again, 5, and hit enter. And you can see how much easier this is. I don't have to put in commas or coordinates or @ signs or angle signs. All I need to do is just point my cursor, tell how long the line is going to be, and hit enter, and now I'm done. So with direct distance entry, I just basically point in this direction and put in the amount of units, 5, 3, 5, and finally 3. Just a direct distance. So looking at these coordinates, you can see the difference between them all and the similarities between them all. The absolute coordinate right here, this is the absolute coordinate of 6 in the x, 1 in the y. But relative from the start point, it was 5 units in the x, 0 in the y, the relative coordinate. Here, the polar, relative polar at 5 units in the 0 direction. And here I did not have to enter in 0. My ortho took care of that for me. So I didn't even have to enter in a direction or an angle. So you can see how much easier and more efficient that method is going to be for us, direct distance entry. All right. Any questions about that demonstration?
Alan?
I have one, and I might be jumping ahead a little bit. So you showed about all these as far as, direct coordinate inputs and all that. Is there still a snap command where you start off your line and you can snap to another element?
That's that. You know what? You are jumping ahead. Look at this. Next thing, drawing with precision, using existing objects, using snap points or object snaps. Exactly. So that's our next thing.
What?
Very good.
That's what I get for not reading it.
Alan?
There you go.
Okay. So they go, that's handy, but I remember that I used to be able to do that.
Alan?
That's right. All right, question?
Yeah, I got two questions. On the relative polar coordinates thing where you entered 270, could you have entered negative 90 just as well?
I think so. That's a good question. I think so. Let's see. If I was drawing a line, whoops. If I was drawing a line, let me turn off the ortho. All right. So if I was drawing a line and I used relative at 3 units at an angle of negative 90 degrees. Yep, that will work. That'll work.
Second question, on all these little rectangles that you're drawing, way back when AutoCAD was famous for anytime you did a polygon, you had to end it with closed to make sure that the two little, the segments bonded kind of.
That's right. I understand.
Do you have to do that now?
No, you're getting ahead also.
Sorry.
So that's good. You got it. But just so you know, everybody, the line command also has a close option too. But yes, we're going to talk about polylines coming up today. Very good. All right, any other questions? All right, then I'm going to set my background back to black. And close this file. Okay. So we're going to use direct distance entry. We're going to see how this works. And we have a very simple exercise that we're going to do here. We're going to start a brand new drawing, and I'm not even going to have to set you up with limits and layers and units. We're just going to use the out-of-the-box template to create a drawing and not change anything, because we're going to create something very simple here. We're going to create a rectangle here with a line through it. And what this rectangle is supposed to represent is eventually in our master bedroom plan here that we're going to do, we have windows. And our exercise is going to allow us to create a drawing that we're going to be able to utilize as symbols representing windows in our master bedroom plan. So to look at this, we're going to start a brand new drawing, and then we're going to start to create this at an absolute coordinate of 0, 0. And using our direct distance entry with our ortho, we're going to define a line that is 2.5 units in the 90-degree direction. Then we're going to define a line that is 36 units going in the 0-degree direction. Then we're going to define another line down from here that is 5 units in the 270-degree direction, but we're not even going to have to enter those angles in. We're just going to use our ortho and direct distance entry. Finally, back the other way, just like my rectangle. Instead of this being 5 units and 3 units, this is 36 units and 5 units. Then back up 2.5 units, and then finally we'll add one more line right down the middle to represent the glass pane of glass. All right, so let's do it. Here's what I want everybody to do. Use the little plus sign on your file tabs to start a brand new drawing. All right, now save this file. Go ahead and click save here. And I want you to call this and save it in your class files folder. And I want you to call this drawing window. Just window, and hit save. Now you'll see your file tab denotes the name that you saved your file as. All right. First things first, I need everybody to come down to your status bar and find, at least if you hit the plus sign, you won't have to select a template. So, yeah. And by the way, if you did select new and the dialog box comes up, it's the AutoCAD template that is being used anyway. By default, when you either do it this way or hit the plus sign, it's still using the AutoCAD template. All right. So as I was saying, I need everybody to turn on this drafting aid ortho. Just click on it once. You'll see it turns blue. That means it's turned on. All right. Now, do me a favor. Down here is our origin, where the UCS icon is. It might get a little clumsy to try to start from here. So I want everybody to press and drag their wheel to pan. And I want you to hover over the UCS icon, hold down the wheel, and move your mouse so it's sort of centered within the screen here, and a little bit positioned to the left of the screen, something like this. That'll just make it easier for you to see what you're doing instead of having to get everything crowded down here.
I have a quick question. Mine keeps like snapping back to the bottom left if I grab it.
Wait, who is that?
James Wakefield.
Okay.
Like when I grab it, it just snaps back. Oh, here we go. Maybe I was just way off.
Yeah, and I'm looking at your screen. You can go ahead and close these palettes. It'll make it easier on your life. Yeah, close that drawing. Yeah, that's it. Perfect. Close that one, and then hover over the top of that. You see there's a little X over to the right. There you go. Yeah. And
Thank you.
that's perfect. This needed to be a little bit away from the lower left-hand corner. That's all I wanted. Just I wanted our origin of our drawing to be a little bit away from the very lower left-hand corner of the screen. All right, on your home tab, you're going to start the line command. Notice the prompt. The prompt says, specify the first point. Previously, when we were doing this, I just had you just randomly pick points off the screen, but now we're drawing with precision. And I want to start this line at a precise absolute coordinate. I want to start it at the origin of the drawing, which is 0 in the x, 0 in the y. So when it says to specify the first point, I want you to put in this little box here, 0, and then you're going to get to the next box by pressing comma, 0, comma, and you can see how the next box highlights, and then I want you to put 0 in that box. So 0, comma, 0. All right, I'm going to do it again. I'm looking at the screen and people are a little bit lost. I'm going to cancel out of this. Start your line command. All right, I'll wait. I'll wait till everybody gets their line command started. All right, once the line command is started, at your heads-up display, at your dynamic input, you're going to enter in, and I'll just say it all in one breath right now so you understand where we're going. I'm going to say I want you to type in 0, and then a comma, and then a 0, and then hit enter. So 0, comma, 0, and then hit enter. And that starts a line at exactly that 0, comma, 0 coordinate, the origin. Now get used to this ortho. Move your mouse around. Don't click any buttons. Don't click any mouse buttons or anything. Just move your mouse around and note the behavior of your rubber band. Notice that at times it is not connected or attached. The end of the line is not attached to your cursor, but your cursor determines the length of the line. And obviously the direction is restricted to horizontal and vertical directions. Okay, you got a feel for it? Just kind of move it around and recognize the behavior of it. Also, a good thing to look at is look when you move your mouse, look at the blue text in the box. That is showing you a preview of the length of the line. If you were to just randomly pick a point with your left mouse button, you would draw a line in that direction, in that angle, and at that length, if you were to do it. I don't want you to do it just yet. All right, so here on my screen, you can see that if I move my mouse like all the way over here, the line would be drawn at 36 or so units. All right. All right, to begin this exercise, to begin to draw the little symbol, we're just drawing a rectangle. I want everybody to just move their mouse up. So the line is a vertical line originating from the origin and going up from that origin. Our window is a total of 5 units wide, but since we're starting in the middle of the window, the symbol, the rectangle, we're going to put in the distance half of that. So I want everybody to plug in this direct distance, 2.5. 2.5, and hit enter. All right, now move your mouse around to see that you have drawn a line. Okay, you can see now your line now, or your rubber band now, is beginning from 2.5 units away, or in the Y direction from the origin. Okay. Now, just move your mouse to the east. You're just direct distance. And this direct angle is going to be in the 0-degree angle. You don't have to put any of that. That's the whole point. How convenient this is with the ortho. You just point your cursor in this direction. And I want everybody to put in here the distance of 36 units, just 36. You don't have to put inches, you don't have to put feet. In fact, we haven't changed the units in this drawing that we started up. We have not changed the units from decimal. So just put in 36 and then hit enter. Now, you can see you have two lines drawn. Okay. And like I said, just get an idea, just get a feel for where your cursor is now. See, sometimes people get confused if you look at my screen. If they go back, they don't see the rubber band. Well, you don't see the rubber band because the line you just drew is overlapping it. What I need everybody to do now is point their cursor straight down, and we're going to enter in the distance of the overall width of the window, which is 5 units. So you're just going to type in 5 and hit enter. Now move your mouse around to see that you've drawn a line that's 5 units long. Now we're coming back around the other way. So point your cursor in the west direction. By the way, just so you understand this, it does not matter how far away from this point that you are, meaning sometimes people think they have to go beyond where the link that they're going to plug in. You do not need to do that. You can go all the way to here, or you can just be halfway. As long as you plug in that distance, it's still going to draw that line at the distance. The rubber band does not have to extend past the distance you're trying to enter in. The preview does not have to extend past the line you're trying to enter in. So just to show you this, I'm just pointing a little bit halfway between where I was and where I'm going, and I'm going to type in that distance of 36 again. So this distance is 36 units, and I'm going to hit enter. The only thing you have to be aware of is that when you do that, here's your cursor now, and your rubber band is on top of that line you've just drawn. So just move your mouse around to kind of get your bearings to see where your rubber band is. All right, now you're going to point your cursor straight up, 90 degrees, and you're going to type in the direct distance where we started this whole thing. Same thing, half the width, which is 2.5, and hit enter. Now, to finish this off, we're going to draw a third line that's 36 units. Also, again, like our first one, in the 0-degree direction. So you're going to move your cursor to the east, to the right, and type in the unit 36 and hit enter. And to exit out of the command, I simply want you to hit enter again. Whenever you're in one of these line commands and you're done drawing line segments, to exit out of the command, just hit enter one last time. All right, that is your window there. All right, I see several people have gotten it in there good. Okay.
Alan, I've got a question.
Yes.
This is Matt I here. So
Okay.
when I start the line, I put it in at 0, 0, right?
Yep.
And then 2.5 for the next one, right?
Yep.
And then it keeps going back to the bottom there.
Now, let me put this on the screen so everybody can see this. You're fine, but you are way zoomed out. Now, look at your units there. They're 300.
Oh,
That's it. So you might have zoomed out a little bit. Okay. Now, here, let's start at this. Go ahead and just hit enter. And go ahead and hit undo, perhaps, maybe. But we'll start again. Now your bearings are a little bit. Oh, see now. Now, try this. Zoom in again, and click the little eraser there underneath Express Tools, and type in the word all, because I haven't told everybody how to do selection methods yet. Hit enter, and hit enter again. All right, start it. Yeah. Now start the line command. Now you'll probably be able to do it. So here, start the line and that's right. Specify 0, 0, hit enter. Now point straight up. It's 2.1. I'm sorry, 2.5. Now move. There you go. See, now you got your bearings a little bit. Now type in 36. Perfect. Now point it down. So before you were so far you couldn't distinguish the differences in length. This is 5 units. Now back the other way, 36. Now up 2.5 units, 2.5. And now over to the east, again, 36. Perfect. And then hit enter to exit out of the command. Excellent.
Thank you.
Anybody else have that same issue? All right, looks like I think we got everybody. Well, Lisa, how are you doing? Oh yeah, you're doing good now. Very good. All right. Save this file. And you can go ahead and close it. Perfect.
So how do you close it again?
Say again?
After you save it, how do you close it? Just from the X?
Yep, the X will do it.
Got it.
All right, here's what I want to do now. As was already alluded to, there are ways in which we can draw with precision by allowing our cursor to automatically be magnetized, and it will magnetize and snap almost like it's a magnet to various points of geometry that exist in our drawing. Okay, so this is drawing with precision, but using existing objects. To practice this method, I want everybody to open up the class files for plotting and viewing, the bedroom floor plans. Here I have it right here in my recent files page, but if you happen to have a drawing open, you could probably access it from your application menu, or simply just hit open either on the quick access toolbar or within the application menu, and then select the class files for plotting and viewing. Go ahead and open up that file, class files for plotting and viewing. All right. Once you've done that, I would like everybody to move from the layout tab and into the model space. So come down to the lower left-hand corner and click on the model tab. All right, next. Make sure for this exercise, I want to start out where you don't have any, don't turn on your ortho. And I want you to make sure that this button is turned off, because I want to start having you do this and see how difficult it might be without this feature. So I want you to turn the feature that we're highlighting in this exercise off first. It's this one right here called Object Snap. It looks like a little square with another tiny little square at the upper left-hand corner of it. Just make sure it's not blue. All right.
Wait, I'm sorry. Where? I can't see it.
Right where-
Like down here. So you're looking,
Wait, who's speaking?
Patrick, which,
Okay.
what is it called that we're looking for?
It's called Object Snap, and it's the one. It's the blue one next. It's a square, the blue square. That's yeah, that's the one. Click on it to turn it off.
Turn it off. Gotcha.
Just click on it. There you go. Perfect. All right. Now I turned it off on purpose because I want to demonstrate how difficult it might be to do what we're about to do. All right. You see over here this bedroom here that has the ensuite bathroom. Zoom into that area right here. All right. Let's say that I need to draw a line, a nice horizontal line, from one corner of this wall to the other corner of the wall to denote a difference in flooring. Maybe the bathroom has tile and the bedroom has hardwood floors. I just want to show that there's a difference in flooring. I want to just draw a nice horizontal line from one corner of this wall to the other corner. So here's what I want everybody to do. I want you to draw a line, start the line command, okay? And move your mouse sort of near where that corner is. Pick a point, and then I want you to draw the end of the line close to the other corner. And then hit enter to end the command. All right? So you've drawn a nice little line there. Now I want you to zoom in. Look how off you might have been. You were nowhere, the beginning of the line is nowhere near where that corner is. Look at the other corner. Nowhere near where that corner was. That is not precise. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you. You send this plan to a printer, a plotter, you print it out. No one's going to be able to tell on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper or whatever size sheet of paper. Nobody's going to be able to tell that these lines don't connect. But it's still a major difference in the accuracy of your drawing. It's also an inconvenience for any other person that might be working in this file. It's not courteous in a sense. You don't want to draw this way. You want to be courteous to your following CAD users. Because imagine if they think or assume that these lines connect, they might try to take measurements off of it or draw other geometry based on it. And therefore, their geometry, whether or not they're trying to be precise or not, their geometry is going to be wrong and imprecise. It's like the old adage, garbage in, garbage out. All right, so how do we fix this? I'm going to go ahead and delete this line. You do the same thing. Delete the line. Here's how I haven't gone into it yet, but here's how you can select something. That's our next topic after all of these precision topics. But to delete something, you have to select it. So go ahead and hover over this line. You'll notice how when you hover over it, it turns bold. Then click on it. The boldness lets you know that if you were to click, you would be selecting that element. With that element selected, here is the erase button here in the modified panel of your home tab, or you can press delete on your keyboard. That'll work also. All right, what I want everybody to do now is go ahead and turn that tool back on, the object snap. So come down to your status bar, click once on the little square with the little square in the upper left-hand corner of the square. With that turned on, try it again. Start the line command. Hover over the corner. Now this time, notice what you get here. You get a little green, we call it a glyph. And in the case of this particular object snap, this glyph is in the symbol of a square, and the square glyph represents an end point snap. So you're magnetized, you're snapping to the end point of these lines. If you were to click your left mouse button, go ahead and click. Now go over to the other corner and notice you've got a endpoint snap little green glyph there also. Go ahead and click there, and now you've drawn a line precisely from that existing geometry, from the endpoints of those lines. You can hit enter to exit out of the command. You can zoom in as much as you want, and you're going to see that these lines are precisely connected. All right. Now, I want you to come down to the tool again, the drafting aid, and there's a little arrow to the right of the command in the status bar. If you click on that, a menu pops up. This menu shows all of the object snaps. Okay? And you'll notice that some of the object snaps in this list have a check mark next to them. That means that those object snaps are what we call running snaps, or they're on. They're when you hover over geometry, you are going to get the little glyph, the little magnet to appear for these points of geometry, endpoints of lines or arcs or whatever, endpoints, centers of circles or arcs, intersecting lines, I shouldn't say lines, but entities that intersect, the intersections of them, and then something called extension. Okay? Let's take a look at the running object snap center. Let's see what happens here. Here's what I want you to do for this. And I know we're coming up on the break, but here's what I want you to do. We'll do this and we'll continue this after the break, but I want you to start the line command again. Yeah, and leave everything as it is. I didn't want you to turn off or click on anything over. I'm just showing you the check marks there. You can just let that go. Go ahead and start the line command. And here's what I want you to do. Look at this bathroom. There are drains all over the place, and those drains are in the shape of circles. What if I wanted to draw a line that connected all of these drains, these circles? I want to draw a line that starts exactly from the center of these circles. I'll start over here with the shower. Notice when I hover over the drain of the shower, a circle glyph appears, and it says center. All I need to do is just click with my left mouse click, and I'm starting a line precisely from the center of that circle. Here's another drain. Now, I might have to zoom in here because guess what? You might click on the center of the ellipse, but I want to get to the center of the circle. Look at all the arcs and circles here. Look at this. Here at the end of the faucet is an arc. I can snap to the center there. Over here is the handles. And over here, there's other lines too. Anyway, if you hover over the center of the drain, you'll see a glyph and you can click there. And I've drawn a line precisely to those drains. I'm going to go to here. How about the toilet seat? How about the drain here? And then maybe back to the shower. And I'm going to hit enter. So there you can see the demonstration of the use of the center object snap, how it will snap to the center. All right, we're going to continue with looking at more of these object snaps after the break. So if you have any questions, hold them until we come back, and then we're going to explore some of the other object snaps. All right, so I am going to start the morning break, and we'll meet back here in 15. There we go. All right, I'll see you in 15.